So welcome everyone and thank you for coming today. As I begin, I want to acknowledge that this year's State of the School talk comes at what seems like a very unusual time of change and transitions. My primary purpose is to reassure you that we are as strong and as stable as we've ever been, and we're in a great position to see the coming changes as opportunities rather than threats. Over my nearly 7 years at Duke, change has been the rule, not the exception. When I first gave this annual report to the faculty, the building that we are now meeting in was just an idea. We had 3 fewer departments than we have now, and most of the department chairs were different people. Back then, we had only transiently had a Nobel laureate on our faculty. The general economy seemed strong, and the NIH had been particularly good to us in awarding the initial CHAVI and CTSA grants. I mention these things to make the point that we have been through a great deal of change over the last 7 years, and at least in my view, we have found and taken advantage of important opportunities in spite of difficult times. I'm struck by remarkable parallels between the time we find ourselves in now and an earlier era in the first years of our medical school. When our first class came through, a US president was trying to repair the economy after the collapse of the stock market. President Roosevelt passed legislation for far-reaching social programs soon after he was elected and was later frustrated by an obstructive Congress. Like the current US president, he also had a very famous dog. At that time, the president of our university was an English professor, William Preston Few, who had the vision of establishing a medical school. The original medical school and hospital were built at the end of the 1920s and opened during the Great Depression. Decades later, we again have an English professor president who is very supportive of the medical school, and we have opened wonderful new education and hospital buildings in spite of a severe economic downturn. The first dean of the School of Medicine, shown on this slide, Wilbert Davison, was the man who both literally and figuratively laid the foundation for the outstanding institution we are today. He was, like me, a pediatrician recruited to Duke from a prestigious Northeastern medical school. By all accounts, he was a warm, informal, and flexible man who appointed a large number of department chairs. He counted on those chairs to play a major role in shaping the school's future, just as I rely on our outstanding chairs to help move the school forward today. Dean Davison recognized the importance of excellence in all 3 of our missions: clinical care, education, and somewhat ahead of his time also in research. Although not formally part of Duke education until much later, he pioneered the idea of compressing the preclinical curriculum into 1 year. In fact, he had done that in his own medical education. And he recognized the importance of looking beyond grades in recruiting medical students, seeking out applicants who brought great depth of character as well as academic excellence. These parallels between our earliest years and now are striking. Although some of the similarities are strategic and some are just odd coincidences, my point is that we have always had a robust formula for success. We can't know all of what lies ahead, but we have proven repeatedly that we can make the best of difficult times. In my talk today, I will first briefly mention some of the changes to the landscape of academic medicine that we know are on the horizon. I'll talk about some highlights of the last year, leaving out, unfortunately, many of them. I'll talk about leadership changes within the school and the university, and about how we are approaching the future.